today's news.
Hello, welcome to Old News, the programme and podcast which looks back at the news of today through the papers of yesterday. Well, TT weather. It had to be, really, didn't it? This seems to be the fourth year on the trot. I think it's 2023 we last had good weather for the TT. Is this something new? The weather and the TT? Of course it isn't. I take you back, actually, not to a TT event. Pre-TT, the Douglas Bay Regatta caught my eye. This is in the Isle of Man Times of Wednesday, August the 26th, 1891, somewhat before the TT. But the Douglas Bay Regatta sounded like a great event with swimming and sailing events. However, we're told in the Times it's postponed until Thursday, owing to the inclemency of the weather. Under NCASA rules, with Major Goldie Taubman, HK, as one of the patrons. The programme included racing, but not for bikes, for sailing, of course. Sailing race for yachts not exceeding 19 feet. First prize, £5. That'd be rather good, wouldn't it, in 1891? 100 yards handicap swimming race for youths under 18, amateur, open to the island only. First prize, a gold medal presented by Mr. J.H. Greenwood. And then there's all races, there's swimming races, there's more sailing, 400 yards, 220 yards, a ladies' sculling race, and so on. However, it was not to be on that day, because even though it was August, the weather was too bad. Ramsey Courier, Friday, September the 12th, 1924 next. Amateur TT practices. The first line, yes, the weather. The weather was not ideal for practising on Monday morning, but 26 riders were on the course and reported heavy weather on the mountain. There were several mountains, it actually says there. I don't know how many mountains they went over. There were several stoppages due to mechanical and tyre trouble, but fortunately there were no accidents. 22 riders completed the circuit and 2, R.O. Lowe and R.C. Brown, went round twice. They were brave chaps. Turning to the Mona's Herald, Wednesday, June the 13th, 1928, a few years later, the senior TT, exciting race in rain and mist. Failure of the cracks. That's crack riders. I wonder what that was at first. Gooseneck, Toll and Dobson's win on a sunbeam. The senior tourist trophy run on Friday was the slowest since 1924, slower than the lightweight race last year, and only 19 seconds faster for the full 7 laps than the baby race this year. Nevertheless, it was one of the most thrilling races ever run on the island, up to the last minute of the race. The issue was in the balance. The roads were treacherous in places, but they went ahead in any case. The crack riders, one after the other, forced to retire, and it was anybody's race almost to the end. The eventual winner, C.J.P. Dodson, riding a sunbeam. His time, 4 hours, 11 minutes, 40 seconds. That's a lot of riding. An average speed of 62.98 miles per hour. His was not a pleasant ride around the island, but rode a lap at a breakneck speed with his stand trailing. He fell on the mountain in the penultimate lap, mounted and finished strongly, and took the lead at the end of the third lap after Simpson and Craig, who led in the first 2 laps, had packed up with engine trouble. Dodson, the winner, is 28 years old, we're told, a native of Didsbury. He's a great athlete, keen on physical culture. A fine phrase. This is his first win in a TT race. He's ridden twice in the amateur TT race and 4 years in the tourist trophy races. He is single and is a director of several companies, including a dirt track and 2 motor garages, and a member of Fast Motors Limited, a club of which most of the Manchester riders are members. And we are told the race happily passed off without serious accident, despite there being terrible conditions. Lamb on the Norton and Evans Triumph collided somewhere between the bungalow and the mountain box, but though a doctor was hurried to the spot, neither was seriously hurt. Davenport came off at the Highlander Inn and was rendered unconscious, but he soon recovered. His injuries, nothing more serious than a scalp wound and a damaged chin. A mere nothing. To 1935 now in the Examiner, Friday, June the 21st. The senior TT, you've guessed it, postponed. The race fixed for tomorrow. Riders unwilling to face the weather. Who can blame them? The scenes at the start. The stewards of the meeting were very much regret to announce that owing to the abnormal weather conditions, just ordinary I think, the senior TT race will not be held today. The statement issued by the ACU at 11:20 a.m. was the first intimation to the public that for the first time in the history of the TT races, weather conditions prevented a race being started at the scheduled time, this being 1935. The many thousands of people around the course and at the start unanimously endorsed the decision of the promoters of the race, for visibility was not more than 10 yards at various points in the mountain, and the normal risks to riders would have been multiplied considerably if racing would have been permitted under such conditions. We have the same sort of thing now, although it's got multiplied by a factor of 10, I think, isn't it? It was subsequently announced the senior TT will take place tomorrow, commencing at 11 a.m, so that was on to the Saturday, of course. It had been hoped the fresh southwesterly winds might dispel the heavy mist, but the hope was unfulfilled. The uncertainty of the position gave rise to many rumours. Stanley Woods had gone to Government House to ask the governor to use his influence in getting the races postponed till tomorrow. Other riders openly stated they would not start while there was mist on the mountain. I can't blame them. The manufacturers had forbidden their riders to start. Well, it sounds fairly familiar, an awful lot of this, doesn't it? At 11:25 there was another official announcement intimating the race would commence at 11 a.m. tomorrow, weather permitting, it says in heavy black ink. A message was later broadcast from the Chief Constable and Chief Local Marshal, sending greetings to the marshals around the course and expressing regret at the postponement of the race. They also appealed to all marshals on duty to endeavour to see the show through to tomorrow for the sake of the island, the competitors and the race generally. The stewards and officials of the race have also issued an appeal to employers to assist in carrying through the great race tomorrow by allowing their employees who are on duty for the races time off. And of course we see more marshals required. A further announcement was made to the effect that more marshals are urgently required for tomorrow's race. The volunteers asked to report at Douglas Police Station 3:30 p.m. when old and new marshals will be sworn. Visiting motorists will be quite welcome. See leader on page 8. So yes, a delay to the senior causing difficulties finding marshals was very much in place in 1935. 1936, the following year, the Examiner, Friday, June the 5th. TT practices. Thursday, winter weather greeted the 24 riders who ventured out yesterday morning for the first day's TT practice. But despite the uncomfortable conditions, Jimmy Guthrie, Junior Norton, completed a lap under the half hour at an average speed of a fraction over 76 miles per hour. The Guthrie Memorial there, of course. C.J. Williams on the Vincent with a lap in 31 minutes 42 seconds. 71.5 was the fastest senior entrant, while D.S. Fairweather on a Cotton, there's a great name for a bike, led the lightweight class 34 minutes 45 seconds, 65.3 miles per hour. 39 laps completed, all without incident. J.W. Beavers, Senior Norton, G.L. Patterson on the Velocette and C. Goldberg of New Zealand on the Velocette, each making 3 circuits. An interesting feature of the day's practice, we're told, was the riders' initial negotiation of the new Belig Bridge, which was found to require considerably changed tactics from former years. To 1937 in the Examiner, Friday, June the 4th. TT practising in vile weather. Still, the riders put up a good show. Vile weather attended the opening of the TT practising period yesterday morning, we're told. Heavy rain, accompanied by very reduced visibility on the mountain section of the course, resulted in only 15 riders putting in an appearance, and only 2 brave enough to do 2 laps. They were C.M. Gutley on the Senior Norton and O. Tenney on the lightweight Gutsy. H.L. Daniel on the Junior Norton was the fastest man of the morning. His lap time 32 minutes 50 seconds. I think they're doing just about half that now, aren't they? Representing an average speed of 68.95 miles per hour, being an exceedingly good show in face of the bad conditions which prevailed, I should say so. Not one senior competitor lapped in less than 40 minutes, the fastest in the class being C.J. Williams on his Vincent, whose time was 40 minutes 45 seconds. Stanley Woods made his 1937 debut on the course this morning and immediately came into prominence. He did 3 laps on the Moto Guzzi, which he will ride in the lightweight race. His time 30 minutes 38 seconds. which he returned on the second circuit, was the day's fastest. His average speed was practically 74 miles per hour, his time 55 seconds outside his own record for the class. We go to 1951 in the Ramsey Courier, May the 25th, Friday, to see if the rain's any better, to see if the weather's any better. Well, of course it's not. TT practising in the rain. Only 53 riders out on the first morning. Heavy downpours resulted in only 53 riders turning out for the first TT practice yesterday, Thursday morning. They completed 80 laps, and considering the wretched weather conditions, the times weren't bad. The fastest lap being recorded by Bill Doran's AJS, which went around in 28 minutes 43 seconds. It was not raining when the first bunch of riders set off, but second lappers donned waterproof suits. Could they do that now? No, they couldn't, could they? First man off was W.R. Am of Southern Rhodesia, riding Senior Norton. 10 seconds later, Max Klein, Junior AJS, followed. Third man was E. Brain on the Senior Norton. There were 3 spills during the practice. Maurice Cann on his Gutsy was thrown from his machine at the foot of Glenvine Hill, Crosby, and received first aid from a nurse. At Kerrowmore, J.A. Pollett, Senior Norton, came to grief and escaped injury. At Governor's Bridge, E. Barrett on the Junior AJS parted company with the machine and also came out of the spill unscathed. In the case of Pollett, he was attended by Mrs. A. Taylor, first aid nurse, and Dr. Patton, and after an X-ray examination at Ramsey Hospital, was allowed to return to Douglas. The Australians doing well, we're told as well. They make a good start. And finally, the Ramsey Courier, Friday, May the 30th, 1952. TT practising, next week's arrangements. Practising commenced on Thursday morning for this year's International Motorcycle TT races. The weather was a little troublesome, with showers mixed with bright sunshine. Sounds familiar again. There were 57 riders out on the roads, who between them completed 82 laps. The feature of the morning was the performance of Bill Doran, whose lap at 80.39 miles an hour, getting faster these speeds all the time, on his Junior AJS was 43 seconds faster than R.L. Graham's Senior Augusta, an Italian machine credited with great speed possibilities. And we all know who rode that, or later on. But the riders had hardly got settled down to it properly, and more will be awaited of respective performances of the British and foreign bikes as the practices develop. Well, indeed, they would. And the speeds continued to get faster, and the weather continued to stay rubbish for the large part, although, of course, the sun does come out from time to time, just to remind us it is the Manx summer. Suffice to say, without a doubt, TT weather is old news. Until next week, cheerio.
You're gonna be yesterday's news.